Don Draper is the debonair creative director of the advertising agency Sterling Cooper. He has a very simple worldview. He believes you're born and you die alone, and this world just drops a lot of rules on top of you to make you forget those facts. He lives like there's no tomorrow, because he doesn't believe there is one. He finds no ultimate meaning in life. For him, it's all about the pursuit of momentary happiness. His advertising company, Sterling Cooper, sells happiness. They perpetuate the lie that you can buy it. They are masters at convincing us that we need things. They are masters of manipulation. They trigger our desires to want more and more stuff. They're masters at telling us that we need the newest and the shiniest and the latest. It's about endless demand that's never satiated. It's about a big hole in our lives that the advertising agencies believe that only they can fill. But ultimately, it's all in vain. Now, many of you probably realize that what I'm referring to is the critically acclaimed TV drama about that cigarette and booze-fueled world of 1960s Madison Avenue. Last Sunday night, it won Best TV Drama of the Year for the second time. And Mad Men seems to have taken over our nation. Many people are talking about this nostalgic show of the 1960s. It is an extremely well-written, well-directed, well-produced, and well-acted show about an advertising agency that sells happiness. But there's a paradox. If you watch it, you realize that the characters really don't like each other. They really don't even like themselves. In their pursuit of happiness, they're quite miserable in many ways. And another paradox is that the hole in Don Draper's life is the largest of all, and he cannot fill it. As he is successful in trying to sell happiness, he is the least happy of all. Now, once again this week, that letter of James is extremely challenging to all of us. He challenges people like Don Draper who seek happiness in things and experiences that simply corrode and rot their souls. A number of years ago, Alexander Solzhenitsyn, the Russian author, gave the graduation address at Harvard University. And he made a statement that many of the elite that were present found very distasteful, and they walked away. He said this, he said, "All contemporary political theories are superficial because they preach that men and women were born primarily to be happy." What Solzhenitsyn said, he said that people are not created primarily to be happy, but to die well. And he said this, he said, "For this reason, the main task of political leaders is to promote spiritual values. Our life's a journey," he said, "and must be one of moral growth so that we may leave life as a better human being than when we started." Now, Mad Men may have been the best TV drama of the last 2 seasons, and it is good in a sense because it does inundate us with a lot of sadness. It inundates us with the pain of brokenness in so many people's lives, of unfaithfulness, and a total lack of personal connection. It really overwhelms us with that. It clearly points out something that we so often forget, that happiness cannot be sought after or purchased. Happiness is a byproduct. It's not found in the having or the taking or the getting. It's a result. It's a result of the giving. And it's not found in that all too common experience of entitlement that so many of our people suffer from today. Too many of our young people have grown up having been given so much that now they are so frustrated and angry when things don't come easy for them and when one has to sacrifice or simply do without. Delayed gratification is not something that we have taught well to the younger generation. Somehow they have been co-opted by the advertising agencies into believing they can have whatever they want, whenever they want it, and you don't have to really work too hard to get it. The banks have just told us, take out the plastic, use it whenever you want it. And now we know the consequences of that whole philosophy. There are many miserable people around because of it, who've bought into the illusion that happiness is found in things. It can be searched after, it can be purchased. We're not entitled to happiness. It's a byproduct of living well and giving to life, not just taking from life. And that gospel today is a very challenging and difficult gospel. Jesus uses that very overwhelming literary technique where he says, cut your hands off, gouge your eyes out, cut your feet off if they cause you to sin. What's he telling us? He's basically telling us to root out from our lives those false illusions that bring only misery and despair. He's not telling us to literally cut off our hands or gouge out our eyes. He's telling us that perhaps some ways of our thinking and acting and some of our lifestyles perhaps need to be purged. And perhaps entitlement is one of them. That TV show, Mad Men, is a great example of this, of lifestyles that need to be purged of so many destructive ways of living. Because as we watch that show on Sunday evenings at 10 o'clock, wouldn't it be nice if the men and women of the Sterling Cooper community would find their happiness by becoming more faithful, more trustworthy, more eager to make life better for others instead of living in vicarious and completely selfish lust? Wouldn't it be great Sunday evenings at 10 o'clock if we watched the men and women of the Sterling Cooper community find themselves bringing a little bit more hope to a world that needs a lot of hope? Wouldn't it be great if the men and women of that Sterling Cooper community might come to the realization that we are not born alone. We are born into a community of people, and our happiness is a result of being part of that community and being responsible to those in this community. Don Draper is the dapper creative director of this powerful advertising agency, and he is the perfect Ayn Rand hero. He's self-interested, he's obsessed with his own pleasure, no matter what the consequences might be for others around him. And ultimately, he is empty. He's a man of secrets and false identities who is so independent that he doesn't realize the importance of relationships. And I think the beauty of that TV show is that it really points out to us that that's not the kind of hero we need in our world today. Our world needs heroes who are not so much interested in searching and always being constantly aware of trying to find their own happiness, but are interested in making a contribution and leaving the world a better place and dying well, like Solzhenitsyn points out. In that gospel, Jesus tells us how to do this. By simple offering of a cup of cold water to those who are thirsting around us. And the byproduct of this is not just reward in heaven, but the byproduct is happiness right here on earth.